Hey everyone, Nubkeks here. Welcome to another Patreon coaching episode. This is the first one I'm actually doing here for July. We're going to be looking at a Falstad game from MrBazooka here on Dragon Shire. So I will be putting this up on YouTube, so those of you watching on YouTube, hello. So basically over on my Patreon, you can find the link down below. I do coaching for people, diamond level patrons. Platinum level patrons are able to watch all those videos as well, though they don't submit coaching videos of their own. It's not for people that are ranked platinum or diamond. It's just that the reward tiers are named after that, the HOTS ranks. So I think I'll be doing roughly about 12 coaching videos this month, which is a good chunk. I put one or so, maybe one, maybe two a month up on YouTube for everyone, but then the rest are for Patreon exclusive. So there's a whole bunch of extra content over there if you do want to get involved in that, and if you're serious about kind of leveling up your game and all that sort of stuff, getting the most out of HOTS as possible. So on this one, this is silver. Okay, so that was interesting. I remember in the last month, you were finding that you were actually so basically the background for MrBazooka here, right, is that he has just moved over to Hero League recently. Before that, he played very casually, quick match, not really thinking too much about the meta or anything like that. But he's gotten more serious about it now and is really enjoying that whole Hero League side of it and being more competitive and sort of the enjoyment and the fulfillment that brings, right? So he's actually stabilized around silver 4, so kind of mid to low silver, and the aim is to get up to gold this season. So for this game, this one does end up being a loss, and it's very interesting that this one starts off as a lead into that sort of mid game, and then once again it's the very late game, it ends up being a big throw. And you actually see that very specifically, that it is very specifically a throw in the late game, and certainly there are mid game opportunities that are probably given up, and I'll try to cover that sort of stuff. I think it's very interesting as well. You're saying that your Falstad, you got 74% win rate on Falstad, and definitely that's something I felt in this game, was that certainly for silver level of play, your mechanics on Falstad are actually very, very good. They're very solid, and a 74% win rate really does show that. I'll also give you some insight in this video in terms of how to get even better on that Falstad, right? So you're like a 74% win rate on Falstad in silver. How do you, translate that into even like a very high win rate, something like 55, 60%, like if you were in Master or something like that? What would you be looking for, to bring it to that level, that higher level, when you're playing against those better opponents and you're expected to even get more out of the hero? How can we really push that? But I mean, needless to say, obviously 74% win rate at your rank is incredible. That's absolutely incredible, whatever rank you happen to be at. And then the other interesting thing is that you have only a 44% win rate on Dragon Shire. So the map Dragon Shire is clearly something you struggle on a little bit more. Now it's kind of interesting because, of course, Falstad is one of the best heroes on Dragon Shire, just because of his wave clear and his global. Also the control that you can bring with Mighty Gust. You don't actually take Mighty Gust, but the control that can bring as well. Those can be very impactful things in terms of swinging kind of Dragon Shire around into a success. So yeah, I mean, let's just hit the play button and let's dive into this one. So the first thing, one of the big things I noticed, certainly in terms of the early game, right, was that you actually go to the bottom lane. Now, Dragon Shire, the solo lane, would typically be the top lane, because mid and bottom are so close together. You also have the siege camps and even a bruiser camp down here. So those camps are very much contested quite frequently, where you only have the bruiser camps up in top. Also, because of the bridges, it's really hard to actually get into those keeps. So the top lane is the lane of least impact, the most isolated lane, and therefore it is the solo lane where you just kind of hang out and you soak the XP, and that's mostly what goes on down there. So you're actually taking a solo lane down bottom, which is not as good, so definitely something you should be looking into as Falstad. Typically, you'd probably start off as 5-man grouped in the mid lane, try to make some plays there, and then fly up top to the solo lane. So you get that little bit of an extra advantage. You get the 5-man team in mid lane, and you can push that little bit of an advantage at the start, and then you can transition that into, well, you can just fly up with your mount ability, with your global, and you'll get to the top lane, and it's going to be just fine. You're not actually going to miss out on anything in particular. Let me actually just, hold on, bear with me one second. I'm going to just slightly lower the game volume here, just so it doesn't, I'm not sure exactly. I've been tweaking volume settings around with streaming different games So I'm just going to play it relatively cautious and have the game volume set pretty low here, just in case it is overpowering my voice or anything like that. Should have checked before I started this, but I forgot. Okay, but yeah, that's definitely something that you can do, like to get that, just squeeze that little bit extra out of what you're trying to achieve. One thing I would say, I mean, both teams have actually, in terms of composition, both teams actually have got a pretty good composition. I mean, you've got double global with Falstad Brightwing, which is fantastic. You've actually got a fair bit of kill pressure with Kerrigan, Stitches and Li Ming even, Brightwing Polymorph to a certain degree. Like, there's a lot of stuff that you could do with this team comp. Now, I don't know how much of that would actually be done in Silver. And certainly the enemy team comp's actually okay as well. They've got plenty of wave clear. They do have 3 backline heroes, but Varian will actually survive pretty well on the front with, you know, his W build. Interestingly, he actually doesn't go for that. He goes for Twin Blades, which totally messes it up. But in theory, if he is going for like a tank taunt build Varian, it would actually work relatively okay because he can survive with his, you know, protected shield wall stacks against the burst on the front line and let his backline do work. They're pretty weak early game in terms of Nazeebo and Varian are both pretty weak. So you guys have Kerrigan Brightwing, Falstad Li Ming, you guys have got a very strong early game. But Dragon Shire tends to be one of the longest maps. The Dragon Knight is very difficult to take and it's also pretty weak. Compared to a lot of other objectives. So this tends to be one of the longest maps. It nearly always goes to late game. Also, part of it, people don't know how to use the Dragon Knight well. They'll often just go and destroy forts instead of, you know, actually destroying keeps or going for the core and actually winning the game. So it goes very long. So even though you guys would, in theory, have a very good early game composition, I mean, it's not going to have, I would think, too much of an impact here in Dragon Shire just because of the map it is. And also because, well, I don't expect Silver players are going to actually be able to execute an aggressive early game comp, and then certainly not, you know, when the Dragon Shire thing is added onto that. So the early lane's going pretty well for you, apart from the fact that you're in the wrong one. One of the things I noticed, certainly in terms of the Falstad mechanics, is they're pretty good. One thing is, you'll see throughout the game that you do miss a few more hammerangs than you should. They're kind of thrown off on wonky angles, so that's obviously something that you can improve upon a little bit more. But the rough mechanics are pretty solid. Certainly as well with Falstad, to really push Falstad and get the most out of him. Learning what lanes you can lane bully would be a pretty big deal. I think I actually had a Falstad video last season. For example, that Q right there, like that's a good example. It was like totally, like he was just way off in the, you know, that wasn't never hitting anything, right? And it wasn't even close. It was all over the place. But learning the sort of stuff that you can bully as Falstad, like this is very good. Nice, that's really well done. Okay, cool. I mean, probably tanked up a little bit too much damage, but it was good that you knew that you could take that fight. And that's one of the big things. Falstad can actually bully people around the lane a fair bit. I think I had a match against Nazeebo again, I was saying last season. I'll try to link that in the description. And like we're just able to kick this Nazeebo's butt during the lane. I think he's like a diamond level Nazeebo. So it could give a bit of an insight into what sort of stuff Falstad can do. Honestly, this is very well played by Kelthus right there. That was like perfectly played by Kelthus and he got wrecked. He did an amazing job there. You know, he hit you... He hit you with a living bomb, I think. Then he hit you with just a regular Netherwind. Landed the Flame Strike off of that as well. Then hit you with the living bomb again. He stayed in range. Like, that was really well executed, honestly. It was a really confident gank. So, yeah, I mean, like, a good chunk of that was just, you know, well played by him. He did a brilliant job right there. But learning the heroes that you can punish aggressively, because you do have a lot of actual like upfront burst damage. You know, you barrel roll in, you've got a shield for 3 seconds, your Hammerang is a good chunk of burst damage and a slow, get the lightning rod on them as well, and you can just churn out a whole ton of damage. You can really pressure a lot of heroes. For example, barrel rolling after Kelthus here, that would have been a really good idea. You know, just barrel rolling over the wall, cut him off, and then take him down. He does get taken down eventually in the end, but it costs you guys a fair amount of HP, and he did come somewhat close to escaping. So that would be a sort of situation where you could make a little bit more out of that. You know, to be the highest level of Falstad possible, learning... It's not only saving your barrel roll for escapes and for playing defensive, but also knowing when you can use it aggressively and what sort of trades you can take. Now, that was very well done by you as well. Very nice aggression right there and good pressure. And yeah, like I said, I mean, you're pretty solid on the Falstad. For the most part here. Seasoned Marksman is fine. Hammer Gains is fine as well. Secret Weapon, you go for this full basic attack build. It's okay. I really would recommend just getting Boomerang, particularly on Dragon Shire. You know, the extra wave clear and the burst damage is very valuable. Also, you know, that extra just pick just blow someone up, you know, with the Kerrigan combo or Stitch's hook, Li Ming combo, you know, that extra little bit of burst with Boomerang will probably be a bit more viable. I just think it's going to be more useful. Your team's pretty low on wave clear, so I think the Boomerang wave clear would be a little bit handier. You obviously, so you do go all out. I think you grab, you know, Giant Killer. I forget what you grab over here, actually. And then you get Nexus Frenzy. You're like all out in terms of basic attack build, so it's fully synergized, which is great. And the builds, you know, it's not bad at all. I think it's pretty solid. But I would say Boomerang, probably for the map, is a little bit more useful. And that's something, especially like your super high win rate on Falstad. So one of the big ways to push that further is to be like, okay, well, I'm really good at this hero. I get this hero. I'm going to learn not only how to play this hero with you know, one build, like this basic attack build, but I'm going to learn how to tweak, you know, multiple talents on multiple tiers to fit them into the precise needs of this particular match. And I might choose different ones, even on the same map with different compositions, or what have you. And I just switch it up, mix it up, depending on the needs of each particular one. And then we went for Hinterland Blast here, which is, it's okay. And actually I was surprised in this game, like you did a really good job with the Hinterland Blast for the most part. For the most part, you do a good solid job with those, and you land some really nice ones. This was a nice little flank, and that's a good barrel roll as well. That's a really good kill. That's like the kind of aggressive barrel roll to secure the kill that I'm talking about. That's fantastic. So you use it pretty well for the most part. There's one that you do really badly, and I'll talk about that when we get there. I would say Mighty Gust is generally more useful, and certainly on Dragon Shire, I would say it's more useful as well. You know, just it gives you a lot of control for grabbing the Dragon Knight, like just the delay. In terms of if your team is channeling the Dragon Knight, gusting them away, or someone's going to the DK, they try to take one of the points and you gust them away, it can help you secure the objective really well. So that might be something to look into. Again, this is, I say it's a pretty small thing, because I do think Hinterland Blast is actually a pretty decent heroic now. And you do use it pretty well, so I don't mind too much really that, you know, it's not a huge deal. But I would say, generally speaking, if I was playing it, I'd be looking for a Mighty Gust here on Falstad on Dragon Shire. I think that's, you'll get more out of it doing it like that. Okay, anyway, I mean, you guys are like one and a little bit level up, which is pretty nice. Li Ming oversteps, unfortunately. She is going to go down. By the way, I don't know if you guys noticed, but the Li Ming hadn't chosen any talents for ages in this game, which obviously didn't help you guys out at all. That would have been a decent spot to, you know, barrel roll up onto that Nazebo, and then just like bully him with a couple more basic attacks with the shield up from barrel roll. That would have been kind of good. You wouldn't want to aggro the siege giants, but he could have potentially made some sort of play with that. Also, Boomerang would be quite nice for doing with these, but this is just fine. So you're clearing this out. That's all good. You have the opportunity to tap a well. You also have the opportunity to just like clear this out, try to be really safe, and then to fly back in. Alright, you're going to try to do that. That's cool. Alright, we're going for the well. Okay. Going to be chilling out here. People are dying quite a lot. Quite a lot. And yeah, I mean, this is kind of crazy as well in this game that he goes for a Twin Blades variant. So they don't actually have a proper tank. They're very squishy. They're very vulnerable. So I'd say certainly at this point, you guys probably do have, by a little bit, a better composition. This was an aggressive barrel roll that was definitely a mistake. You get picked off. I mean, that was, in a sense, kind of bad luck. Kelthus arrived, and I you know, it's just one of those things where you'd already locked into your mind. You're like, I'm going to barrel roll forwards and get this guy. Kelthus appeared. You had that split second to stop it right there, but obviously, you know, you had already kind of committed and were thinking a few steps ahead, and you just kind of executed that action without, you know, being able to react to the Kelthus arriving, and then he, again, landed a very good combo and took you out. So that one, kind of bad luck. Going a little bit too aggressive maybe in that situation for the Zebo, but yeah, that also, you know, it sucks. So I have to say the Kelthus has been pretty impactful this game for the most part. Now, like, particularly as I'm watching it this time, I'm really noticing like the Kelthus is actually doing a very solid job, and he's got good mechanical control of his hero as well. You know, he's landing a lot of his stuff, and he's being pretty confident with it. At this point, you really want to deal with this bottom lane as well. This is something I noticed in this game. You definitely don't focus enough as Falstad, particularly in your composition. You don't focus enough on actually clearing out the side lanes. Alright, you're going to do it here. And then I didn't like this at all. You know, the wave clear ultimate, I think is a very bad idea. You get a lot of value out of this by getting the reduced cooldown for hitting heroes. You never really want to use any of the longer heroics in the game for wave clear. You know, Disintegrate from Li Ming, sure. Maybe Phoenix from Kael'thas sometimes, like the 60-second cooldowns are okay. Sometimes, but almost never, basically, is the rule. You almost never want to use your, you know, a heroic like that. Like a super long cooldown heroic like Hinterland Blast, you pretty much never want to use it for just a little bit of meaningless poke damage or for wave clear. I think that's a really bad idea. So I would never do that. But yeah, what I was saying before is, one of your big goals as Falstad, one of your big roles in the team is to control the side waves, to push them out. And again, this ties into Boomerang and why Boomerang is really nice. Which is that, you know, it's a lot of wave clear. Your Q with a Boomerang, you've got very powerful wave clear. You also have got the global, so you can fly in from anywhere. Mighty Gust also ties into that playstyle as well. You can fly in and you can disengage a fight if the enemy team does engage hard in your absence. You can kind of counteract that, which can be very, very effective. So oftentimes what you want to be doing is putting huge focus onto actually de-pushing the side lanes, and then just having your mount, your flight ability, ready to fly in and just take part in the team fight whenever that comes up. And just the pressure that it creates, the map control, is an absolutely huge deal. It's also probably, I think, so I do feel like you're not doing that enough. You don't have enough of that. You're not really as interested, I feel, as you should be in Falstad, as the Falstad, in terms of going and pushing out those side lanes, soaking the XP and creating that map control and pressure. And that does have a very big impact on Dragon Shire. I wouldn't be surprised if that sort of lack of respect in some ways for how impactful lane control can be is probably having a big impact on that 44% win rate from Dragon Shire, because it's a huge deal on this map especially. You know, pushing those waves out, it draws enemy heroes to the waves to soak them, because they have to come and clear them eventually. Also, the waves being pushed up gives you vision. It lets you see stuff. It will give you vision of heroes rotating to the points. And it gets you XP advantage as well. So, you know, pushing the lanes out is an incredibly important part of playing here in Dragon Shire. It was a really bad Q, but then a really good Hinterland Blast. So, I thought that was kind of funny. Alright, nice kill on the Vala as well. This is a bit clunky there from your team, unfortunately, that overcommitment. I like this from Stitches. He's like, LOL, they used double ult on me. How dare they? They break the gentleman's agreement to only use one heroic here per person, you know? It's like, well, you know what? They killed you. And they transitioned that into, you know, a couple more... You know, they lost a couple of heroes, but they got a couple more kills as well. And they've got map control right now. You know, it can be okay to use ults, you know, more than one per person, and you do have to play around that. You know, you can't overextend and be, you know, say, well, they can only use one. That's just not how it works. How have we gone for talents, by the way? Yeah, okay, whoops. Bring the camera back. So you got Giant Killer, great, yeah, sure, and Airy Gusts. I mean, it's a little bit awkward. Again, you're lucky because he hasn't gone full parry build, but certainly it's a bit of a pain in the ass always playing a basic attack hero against Varian, just because it's this super annoying frickin'... I feel it's really something they desperately need to change in the game, because Varian could just have multiple seconds where you just simply can't basic attack him. And looking at the enemy team with triple backline and Varian at the front, it's a real pain in the butt when you're a ranged basic attacker up against that, because there can be long periods of time where you simply cannot do anything. You know, you just simply cannot hit the Varian. It sucks, basically, like it really sucks. And for example, that was a really good Hinterland Blast, right? Great disengage, and then very quickly landed that Hinterland Blast coming off of it. And I like this aggression as well, coming into the mouth. Obviously be careful of a Twilight Dream, right? That's what he could do. But apart from that, you know that like you're not going to die and then take that aggression. That's fantastic. So I mean, in this, like there would be the potential in this game that you'd even go for, you know, a full mage Falstad build. I mean, you've already got a mage in Li Ming. So you might not want to go for that, but it could, in theory, work. You know, the Gathering Storm, Boomerang, then Flow Rider and Airy Gust. That could be a really nice idea as well. Just because, you know, you have to play around with the Varian, and it could be very difficult to actually get some basic attacks off, because, again, if he's parrying in the front line with a proper parry build and taunt, which he should have got, you won't actually be able to hit him much. You can see some of the issue here, like, nice damage though, I like this. You can't, yeah, there you go, really well done, nice little kill. Gonna barrel roll away from the Kael'thas, that's fine. It's a good rotation by the enemy team. You guys both survive. And Kerrigan as well. Alright, fine. That's pretty nicely done. I mean, at this point, the enemy team is winning the game, right? It's not been through any major... any real major thing on either side. I'd say one thing you certainly could have been doing, again, just to highlight that sort of lane control sort of stuff. So, for example, right here, I'd actually pause it. And I think this is a great example of where going for that more lane control and using your global a bit more aggressively could perhaps have made a bigger influence on this game. If you look at the bottom lane, you know, you've got the siege camp pushing in. And again, this is what I was saying, like, it's your role as Falstad, but particularly in this composition, I mean, who else is going to go and clear the side lane? I mean, Kerrigan doesn't have a much wave clear, and she really wants to be with the team a bit more. Stitches, I mean, you've got a bit of wave clear, sure, but really the best one, you know, Stitch is okay at wave clear with the slam build. He's pretty good, actually. You know, Brightwing can do it, and she's got the global, but it's a little bit more of an investment to send her. Definitely the best person to send to a side lane would be Falstad to clear it out, because he can clear it the quickest, he can clear it the safest, because he's got barrel roll, and he's got a lot of move speed with his tailwind, and especially now that you're 16 and you've got the airy gust, you've got loads of move speed, you've got the escape. If you had Mighty Gust, you'd have Mighty Gust, so you're totally safe, really, for the most part. And you can push out this lane. If you ever get to a structure, you can also start destroying the structure, which is not something really that Kerrigan or Brightwing, well, Brightwing the other global can bring. Brightwing's not really going to do anything to the structure, whereas it's Falstad, you're going to kill it very quickly. So, for example, right here, you don't have much vision on the map. You're kind of just waiting for both teams to get level 20. You want to soak that. So, coming down here at number 1, you destroy the siege camp, which is pushing your lane in. You get that lane pushing out, so you start getting vision down that lane, which will give you more control over the shrines. It will get your team to level 20 quicker, because you're soaking an extra lane of XP. And honestly, there's not really anything else to do at this point anyway. So that's a big thing that it's not a big, it's, you know, it's a small thing that makes a very big difference. That's probably how I would describe it. I think what actually happens here is you guys get baited into a big fight and the siege camp almost destroys a keep, or maybe even does destroy a keep totally on its own because it's left. But the issue here is, of course, I mean, none of the rest of your team are going for that keep. Now, Vala oversteps. That would have been a really good opportunity to barrel roll forwards first and then kill her. You guys get the kill anyway, but someone that far out of position. We can see right here, this siege camp at this stage is, you need to be going and destroying this because it's on your keep, and that is your job as Falstad on the team. The rest of your teammates aren't going to do it because they're expecting you to do it. I mean, you're getting kills here, which is great, but you need to transition this into something else. You need to make something happen. Again, this is where you want to use your global. You want to fly down and grab this point, or you want to push this out. You need to do something here. You're a couple of kills up, and you're flying around a lot in the middle. There's a lot of flying around in the middle. When you're here on Falstad, the prime target to destroy the siege camp, the prime target, well, not the prime target, the prime person to get rid of the camp, the prime person to take the bottom point and transition this into something good. As a result, instead of you going and doing both of those things, which you could, Stitches goes back, Li Ming runs down there, the enemy team walks into the middle and kills the Kerrigan. You definitely need to split up. Like you're saying stay grouped here, you definitely didn't want to stay grouped. You can see the problem here, you didn't stay grouped, and uh-oh. That was like, that siege camp almost took out a keep by itself, which you absolutely cannot allow to happen. And it is your job as Falstad to stop that from happening. So like going into that fight in the middle, you should have come down first, fought the siege camp. Oh, you see someone, the Vala's out of position. You can fly in. Nice. Fly in, contest that. Then you run down, you can barrel over the wall, you can grab the point right here, and just have, you know, a big impact that kind of way. That's again another pretty good ultimate there. So you're gonna die here. Yeah, I mean, your best option is probably to hit him with the Q and try to run away. He's got move speed with Frenzy. So I think you're probably dead either way, but that's probably your best option in that sort of situation. Okay, well that's a nice few kills for your team. And yeah, taking the objective, it's going to be very difficult, but they could do it. I mean, Brightwing is waiting here. Like you don't have this point, so this Brightwing just kind of making a mistake, really. I guess she's trying to stop the Keltis from channeling it. Stitches had to go back. Okay. This definitely would be a great time for your team to actually push and take this. There's a good rotation by Brightwing now. So a little bit clunky. Honestly, that's not too bad for silver. At least there's some direction towards getting that Kelthis. So the Siege Champ, that's fine. So this is Dragon Knight for you guys. and that's good. Very unfortunate that they've got all their forts up, so this is a good point for you guys to come back in and to make some big plays here, like your team. But unfortunately, they do have forts in mid and bottom, which are the real lanes that you want to finish through. So even with a Dragon Knight this late in the game, there's no way to actually finish it off. The game, that is. So that is a bit unfortunate. Again, right here for you is the Falstad. This is a situation where you need to depush this bottom lane. I mean, what's going to happen? This siege camp is going to do exactly the same thing it's going to be the same mistake made twice, which is going to be the siege camp's going to come in and it's going to destroy the keep, and you guys are going to be down a keep, which really sucks. Unfortunately, your Dragon Knight, again, this is what I said about Dragon Shire. Your Dragon Knight he's off destroying forts. You know, you guys have got a pretty decent lead. You could have transitioned this into a keep, but he's been very reluctant to do so. He's actually just focusing on forts. Again, like, you need to be looking at this and going like, danger, 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 stranger danger. This would be a great time for you to Hearthstone, clear it out, then you'll have flight up and time to come back. The Brightwing's actually going back to do it, which is also okay, but really Falstad is the ideal person to have do that, not the Brightwing. Like, you could have and should have been doing it faster. I mean, and you can see it is gonna die right now. So I mean, that is a keep dead, and like, that's literally the keep. 100% of that keep's hit point loss could have been prevented by you, right? That was totally in your hands to control as the Falstad. Also, part of this ties into the fact that you've gone for Nexus Frenzy, which again, so you've got the super basic attack focus build, that's why you went for it, and that's good, but really Epic Mount is what you want to be going for on a map like Dragon Shire, where lane control, where the globals, and where really control over multiple areas of the map is such a huge deal. Globals are so valuable here. You really want to be going for Epic Mount, which would let you do all this stuff so much more, or just hop down to a shrine at very little cost and very, very quickly, and to grab it and to be able to exploit that and bring that to do something, you know, make something valuable happen. So that's definitely something to be looking into doing. And also, you know, it's a very viable Falstad build. You still get value out of Seasoned Marksman and Giant Killer, then Boomerang and Epic Mount, for just to fit the map a little bit better, and that would have been kind of nicer. Li Ming is going to get killed. I mean, she could have taken Force Armor at 1. She took Astral Presence, so I mean, it's really it's really her problem, isn't it? It's really her problem that she is getting killed by this stuff. Anyway, that is 3 kills for you guys, which is huge. And yeah, I think so. You're pushing in for a keep here. I think that's a really good idea as well. You've got the Bruiser Camp. Again, this is not a keep that you're going to win the game through. However, it will take the Bruiser Camps. No. It will open up the map. That was, again, a really good shot, and it actually does get a kill on the Malfurion. Stitches, I think, poison, finishing her off, or a slam or something. Him off, I should say. But yeah, this is a great opportunity to get the keep. Very difficult to finish through the top, but potentially you could. And at the very least, it is catapults pushing that lane, which will give you vision, will give you lane control, will just continuously push out top lane, and make it easier for your team to control the top thingy-majibby. That's the technical phrase. That's a technical term. That's in case you're wanting to expand your Dragon Shire knowledge. At this point, it would be great to W this and throw out your Qs. You want to destroy this very quickly. You're taking way too long. Like, with their respawn timers being that short, this is like a mistake, right? So that was a keep that, again, could have been destroyed if you actually used your spells. So you're holding on to them for no reason. Also, Qs do apply slow, so you want to use that to help heal for your teammates. Yeah, so they're mostly back. They're still not all back, though, so you guys should still get this. Unfortunately, Brightwing's taken it. She should stop and give it to Kerrigan. She didn't. Rip. So that's unfortunate. Kerrigan's on half HP, and Brightwing is the healer, so that would have been a way better situation for you guys. Okay, a little bit random, but you did hit, like, 1. Li Ming gets soloed to the bottom. Again, that's nothing really to do with you. And Dragon Knight is going for keeps. Well, the Dragon Knight's actually just being zoned out. The Dragon Knight's not being controlled very well here. Ooh, Kerrigan pops for heroic. A little bit randomly. I mean, Kerrigan gets killed. You know, at this point, this is what I'm talking about, this late game throw. He just had a bunch of mistakes, you know, mistake from, like, you guys were in a position there to win the game in a pretty big way. So we had the mistake from you not destroying that top keep. Mistake from Brightwing taking the Dragon Knight. mistake from Brightwing then in terms of controlling the Dragon Knight. She went up to kill that top keep. I think that's what happened, right? She went to kill the top keep because you guys never destroyed it, and then the Dragon Knight was out of position and did nothing much. Li Ming just gets solo killed by Nazeebo, of all things, who she can just literally walk away from and teleport away from, and it's fine. And then Kerrigan, you know, goes in and gets herself killed as well. So, I mean, it's a multitude of big, I would say, very large mistakes from people. Where a late game like this is often very much defined. I mean, Heroes of the Storm in general is typically defined by mistakes. But especially in a late game situation like this, it's very much defined by mistakes. So, for example, this is probably going to cost you guys the game, I would say. Good, very good for Li Ming to get a return kill right there. But yeah, I mean, like, Stitches face checks the enemy team with, who is it, Kerrigan still dead. And he gets pretty much instantly picked off and killed. Luckily, Li Ming somewhat salvages it by getting a kill on Kelthis, so that's huge. So this actually isn't too bad. Vala overextends. Good vault out from her, though. Kerrigan is going in here pretty aggressively. Too aggressively, I would say. Okay. Alright. It's not going to be a lost game, man. If Kelthis had lived there, though, that probably would have been game over for you guys. That probably would have been just too much map control lost, and then Dragon Knight for the enemy team. So hard to make for them to not get the Dragon Knight then, if they just push out the lanes, get Mercs pushing, just get the vision control, go straight for a DK, and then, you know, just pressure you guys out. They just walk with DK to the core and they kill you. So very lucky that they killed the Kelthis there. That's huge, actually. Alright. At this point, again, like, the game's pretty much going to equalize, you know? So right here, it's an advantage to the enemy team because they have, they've got the better keep destroyed. It's much easier to win the game through bottom lane than it is through top because there isn't a choke point. So it's better for them. Apart from that, it's pretty even, you know? Also, like this, like, never, by the way, just Nazeebo people, like, never. He was so far off, and, like, honestly, it's 25 minutes into the game, you're at 129 stacks. Such a huge mistake. I mean, Kerrigan gets killed here, and, like, this is a throw. Again, that's nothing really to do with you, just your teammates can't move around the map. There's not much you could have done with that. Maybe spotted what they were doing and pinged them to back, but, I mean, it was just a really bad move from them, and, like, you guys are just gonna lose now. I mean, just literally the second those two guys died, I mean, it's just game over, right? It's just game over at that stage. Again, you did surprisingly well to get the kills that you did. That's a nice kill by Vala. You did surprisingly well, but it's like the second that they make that terrible rotation and get killed, it's game over. I mean, like, Li Ming is freaking out about the dragon. I mean, you guys had total control of bottom lane. As far as you knew, the whole enemy team was up there. So, I mean, there's absolutely no rush. You also have got double global with Brightwing Falstad. So, literally everything in terms of the map game is in your hands. Now, of course, you're not going to have anyone play around that in silver. I'd say if this was like a very high-level game, it'd probably be a bigger advantage to the red team because they've got globals to play with. So it's very difficult for the blue team to ever get a DK. But, I mean, at this level of play, people aren't going to play around that, so it's not much of an advantage at all. I mean, they can just walk to the core. They're taking too long, but I think they do it in the end, and they secure the win. Eventually, once they realize that the Dragon Knight can actually, you know, win the game super quick here. Level 25 Dragon. But yeah, Li Ming's freaking out. You guys have total map control. There's no reason to rush into that situation. It's just play it cool, play it slow, play it safe, use the globals and secure the DK. Now that's nothing really to do with you. You know, it's even pretty much an even 25-minute game, you know, at that point. And then, you know, Li Ming and Kerrigan throw the game. See, Dragon Knight's gonna run away. The core is gonna go down anyway. That's hilarious. But yeah, like the ultimately, like, the game it was a very close game, right? It was a very, very close game, really. And at the very end, I mean, it came down to just absolutely horrific macro decision from Li Ming and Kerrigan that after a very close game with plenty of mistakes and good plays on both sides and both ways, the ultimate mistake, and really, you know, once you get to 25 minutes, you know, a single big mistake is just game over, just like that. That's how late game works. That was made by Li Ming and Kerrigan. It wasn't anything to do with you, and there's really nothing that you can do about that. It's really what you can do about the game before you get to that point on the Falstad here. So yeah, let me kind of sum up the main points and what I think you could be looking to improve upon here. Alright, so again, like I said, number one, I mean, I feel like the Falstad mechanically is very good. I feel like the win rate reflects that, particularly for like silver 4-level play. It's definitely a lot better than that. You had some pretty nice plays here, some pretty nice kills, and it was pretty well done, especially for the level of play. I think it's very well done, and 78% win rate shows that. Some of the things you could improve on with the Falstad, like I said, I think the biggest thing for me has to be accepting more the role and valuing the role of that lane control more. You know, just the value of going, pushing, and soaking one of the side lanes with Falstad, getting that vision control, getting the pushing pressure, protecting your structures, and then having flight and using flight appropriately to come in and join in on the fights. That would have made a big difference in this game. Again, I think the bottom keep illustrated that. Literally 100% of that keep died to 2 siege camps, which you as the Falstad were the person to stop that from happening. So pretty much the entire keep's death there, which did put you in a rough position and going into the late game, right? That was pretty much all on you, right? It's pretty much all on you, and that's definitely something that you should be looking for as Falstad, you know? That's definitely something that you should be looking for, because that's one of the things that Falstad is best at, is de-pushing that sort of stuff, because he's so good at it. He can push down structures, and he's got flight. You know, that's basically it. He's very quick at clearing out waves. He's got loads of escape tools with his trait and with barrel roll and with mighty gust. He's got flight, which he can join in on fights elsewhere on the map. And yeah, it's just, you know, you can make huge plays with that, and that is why it's so valuable. I mean, the classic thing is you go push bottom lane, push it out, you start pushing down their structures, they send someone to kill you, you fly up top and you like gank their team with your team, or you fly up and you like go push, you know, fly up top and you destroy their top fort while they're defending their bottom fort, something like that. You know, you can make plays like that with him, which are really valuable. So some of that's definitely part of the way that you can improve on Falstad. I thought the early laning was pretty decent. I do think there is, again as well, still a bit of room for you to kind of step more into that Falstad lane bully role. Just kind of learning some of the matchups a little bit more. You'll learn those more once you've played ranked more, where you're actually, you know, doing Falstad solo laning more. It just comes with experience. You know, we play against Nazebos a few times, and then, okay, you start to learn, okay, this is the Falstad Nazebo lane matchup, and you know, Falstad destroys Nazebo because you can just dodge the spiders, and then, well, he's screwed, right? You just outburst him, outtrade him, and he's screwed. You can really wreck him. So that's something that you learn with experience and with time. It's a pretty difficult skill. It's a knowledge that tends to be pretty lacking in heroes, actually. It's, you know, specific hero 1v1 matchups, because you don't play unless you're a solo lane main, and that can be a huge advantage to you once you know all the matchups. But unless, like, if you're just a regular kind of flex player, you're not going to be playing in a solo lane every match. You're going to be playing solo lanes on different maps every match. There might not even be solo lanes depending on the level of play. You could be playing different heroes. So, I mean, as opposed to a game like League of Legends, right, or Dota 2, I presume, where people stick to, you know, let's say I am the top laner, I solo top lane every single game, and there's a small handful of heroes and it's on the same map every single time. It becomes much more about learning the matchups and exploiting that. It's definitely something that isn't exploited enough in heroes, just because it's so hard to actually build up the practical experience of the lanes. But hey, look, Falstad works so well for you. Learning the heroes that you can trade well into could be a huge deal, so that, hey, you see a Nazebo in the lane, once he throws out his Q, his spider jar, you're just like, alright, sucks to be you, Nazebo. Barrel roll in his face, activate lightning rod, hit him with the Q to slow him down, and just slam him with basic attacks, stutter stepping forwards, and just bully the crap out of him and be like, yeah, you just lost the solo lane, sorry, you've lost most of your HP, go Hearthstone, go miss the XP, big lead for my team, thanks very much, bye bye. You can totally exploit that sort of stuff. Then I think the other really big thing was, I'd say, again, with the talent build, and again, this is something that comes if you really, you know, this hero is clicking with you so much, learning to play with all the different talent builds and then being able to tweak it to meet the different needs of the game. So, for example, like I said, for Dragon Shire, I'd be really looking for Epic Mount on Dragon Shire most of the time. Unless there's a really, really good argument for why you want the basic attack Falstad. In this game, I don't really think there is, because they're also squishy and bursty. I don't think there is, plus it's Varian with parry. So I don't think there's a great argument for Nexus Frenzy, honestly. I would definitely, in this one, we go, okay, I'm on Dragon Shire. I really want Boomerang for wave clear. I really want Epic Mount for late game point control, just basically making it impossible unless the enemy team has got a global to match us as well, but in this case they don't, going, okay, it's basically impossible for them to get a Dragon Knight late game. All they have to do is, the only way they can win is for them to win a team fight, and we can just play around it kind of slowly with the global and win through that. Like, basically, my talent just stops them essentially getting a Dragon Knight, aside from some massive team fight win. They can't get it through macro play, which is a nice advantage to have. Whereas we can, very much. It puts the pressure hugely on the enemy team. And I'd also be leaning very much towards Mighty Gust. Again, I didn't mind the Hinterland Blast too much in this game because I felt he used it pretty well, you know. But I would be leaning towards Mighty Gust again, just specifically for the map in particular, to help you control the fights a little bit more. And to open up a few more of the different plays at Falstad. It's just got huge utility. But I didn't mind that. I minded that one the least, actually. I minded that one least. I felt like you didn't really get much out of Secret Weapon. And you would have got much more out of Epic Mount. I felt like you got enough out of Hinterland Blast to make it viable. So that's not a really big deal, but that's something I would consider as well. And then I think, you know, yeah, there's obviously, you know, a bit of room to improve the macro play and stuff. Like, you know, we were talking about, oh, guys, we need to group up. You're saying a couple of times in the late game, which, when it wasn't fully appropriate, when, you know, splitting up and soaking lanes or depushing the lanes and doing it safely would have been a better idea. So you got a bit more room for kind of play like that. So that's the sort of stuff that you could be looking into kind of getting a little bit more out of. But yeah, for the most part, I mean, like I said, you got a really good base with the Falstad here. And this is like a hero that could be a really, really big deal for you to really carry Hero League with. I mean, I'm not a very good Falstad myself. You know, I don't know. I just don't like the hero much. He doesn't click with me. I don't play him much. But you might find some streamers that are good at it. Like, I think, I don't know if Nostromia streams, but I know that she used to play a lot of Falstad. Obviously, she's the one that did, like, the Bronze to Grandmaster climb. And I think she used Falstad for most of those games. So that could give you a really good insight. I don't know if those are up on VODs on YouTube or something, but it's worth Googling and seeing if you can find out info on that. Maybe people can give info in the comments down below. I think Chris streams, and I think he plays some Falstad sometimes, so you could check out some of his stuff. Sake, who's a Korean player, he plays lots of Falstad, so he'd be a really good one to watch. You know, like absolutely top level Falstad play from him. So there'd be kind of the things I'd say, hey, you might want to go and check those guys out. I think Quacknix in EU plays a lot of Falstad as well. So yeah, you could check out some of those players to kind of unlock that. Okay, this is what like absolute top level Falstad looks like. This is what the limits of the hero are. Which could be a great thing to do if you do settle in and be like, yeah, no, this is my guy. This is like Falstad is one of my comfort picks. He's one of my top birds, top birds to carry the game with. So I'm gonna do that. And yeah, there you go. I think that covers most of the main things. I hope you found that helpful. I mean, there's a bunch of like derpy stuff, by the way, in this game as well. Like, you know, Nexus Blades on Kerrigan. Sorry, what? You know, the Stitches build's really good. At least there's that. Bright Wings is a bit wonky. The Li Mings is a bit wonky as well. I mean, we've got Nazeebo. This is so bad. Like, seriously? Seriously, Nazeebo? Seriously. Seriously. You hit level 20. I think you had less than 100 stacks when you hit level 20. At that point, you go, nope. We need to choose Gargantuan upgrade. This is a waste of time. I mean, the game went 27 minutes. He's level 25, and he's still so far off finishing the goddamn quest. So bad. So bad, so bad, so bad. Oh boy, so bad. Anyway. C'est la vie. Silver things. I hope that was helpful. I hope you enjoy. Alright, yeah, like I said, guys, you can find out more, find more games and stuff on Patreon. MrBazooka, I will see you in the second half here of the month, and we'll see what sort of progress you've been making in Hero League with that sort of stuff. But yeah, I mean, keep it up with the Falstad. Seems really good. Alright, guys, thanks for watching. I'll see you all next time. Bye-bye.